We're here at Panther Creek Campground here in Gifford Pinchot National Forest in Washington. Let's go check out the campsites. So Panther Creek has 33 campsites at about a 950-foot elevation level, so pretty low as far as the snow. And here is site 2. We're in Gifford Pinchot National Forest, great state of Washington. And pretty basic. You got your picnic table. It's an inner site. Hoping to find a little bit better than that. Here is site 3. I like 3 better than 2 so far, but we're only 2 in. I park here. Got your picnic table, got your fire pit. Really got a tent pad like that. Beautiful little swath of forest, Gifford Pinchot National Forest, particularly straight ahead. You see the moss and those trees just keeps going up. Gives it that rainforest Olympic National Park vibe. Let's keep going. Here is campsite number 4. Got your driveway, picnic table, fire pit. Cool little mossy tree kind of in the middle as a feature. Picnic table, fire pit. This is a pretty basic site. You don't really have a feature. Here's your tent pad. It's interesting. Come over here, little path to your tent pad. So I gotta say, it's kind of a claustrophobic site. As you see, there's really not much of an area. I mean, it works, but not a big wide area. If you got kids, I probably wouldn't do 4. Kind of claustrophobic. That's 5D. Now this is going to be a group one. Nice big wide parking lot for a couple cars. Got 2 picnic tables side by side. Got your fire pit. Got a flat area over there. Then you have a massive tent pad. So 5D is interesting. It's not perfectly private. You see, you got the Forest Road and campsite 4 over there, and you got another one back there. So not the best lot lines as far as privacy. See if this takes you anywhere. No, this is just a little area through the forest. There's a little side trail right there. So this is 5D. Again, it's a group site, obviously. Serviceable, but not epic. And here is campsite 6. Got your driveway. Got your picnic table, your fire pit, of course your tent pad. This one's got a refreshing feel to it. I don't know if that's the best adjective, but I came in here, I was like, oh, this is nice. You do have the road right there and a group. 5D is right there, so I'd say that privacy-wise probably a deal breaker, but not bad. I mean, nice little section of forest. Here's campsite 7. You got your picnic table and a fire pit. Here's your driveway, tent pad. I love in these logs right here. It kind of gives you areas to put your gear, sit a little higher, a little bit more comfortable depending on how tall you are. And come over to the tent pad. This is kind of the edge. So I was trying to see if there's any footpaths. Doesn't really look like it. So that's 7. Here's campsite 8. The driveway, picnic table, fire pit, and tent pad. The classic package. And doesn't feel like this one's gonna have the best shade later in the day, but feels a little bit more open than some of the other ones. Less enclosed. So again, not really up against any feature. I mean, you got this national forest, Gifford Pinchot. You look up at these trees. The forest is beautiful, but beyond that, as far as like destination camping, I'm not really seeing anything that would be that much of a draw. More of a base camp vibe, like you want to be in the area. There's some other hiking trail or Columbia River, National Scenic Area. You're trying to be up in that area, and this just is your base camp. Here's 9D. D apparently means group because it's the second D along with 5D, and there's 2 picnic tables in both instances. So here's your tent pad, 2 picnic tables, your fire pit. Not a big fan of this one. I mean, look, you got the bathrooms there. That's great if you have members of your party that need the restroom a lot. But you got the road right here, and then there's not really any privacy lines. You're kind of on the edge of the parking lot. This feels more like a grand parking lot section that you happen to be camping on the edge of, giving that Walmart parking lot feel. So not a fan of this one. If you're looking for a group so far, it's 5D and 9D. I like 5D better than 9D. Let's continue along. Here is 10. Picnic table and fire pit and tent pad. There you go. Nice long driveway. Up against a pretty little section of forest. Yeah, I will say this one is particularly good as far as having kind of a wider play area here at Gifford Pinchot National Forest. So that impresses me. Also, this one was a ways down from 9D. For some reason the road was pretty long in that section. You do have 11 right across the way. Got your driveway and your picnic table. And there's your tent pad, your fire pit on the right. This one's a little overgrown. Maybe it just needs an annual season cleanup. But this one I like a lot less. I think 10's way better than 11. This one's very exposed. You're gonna have a lot of direct sun later in the day, and in the heart of summer, July, August, September, that could be pretty rough. So 10's definitely better than 11. 10's got an ethereal rainforest feel with a wide area to play and a lot of good shade. 11 is more exposed. Kind of interesting, the first 9 were pretty bang bang, and 9D and 5D were both group, and the other 7 were individual. But then you had a long section with nothing, and then 10, 11, here's 12. So they're pretty eclectically designed. Each one's a bit different. You got your restroom straight ahead, and you got your tent pad, picnic table, fire pit. Here's the forest road. Down there's 11. I wouldn't do 12. I mean, look at that massive tree. That's awesome. So the trees are legit. I mean, this is old growth national forest coming out of your eyeballs. But as far as just the privacy lot lines, why would you want to be this close to the road? And so I probably wouldn't do 12. But I'm impressed by the forest aspect of it. But I don't like the spacing. Out of that cluster, I like 10 better than 11 and 12. Still haven't found like a home run site. This is definitely a serviceable campground, meaning that everything's a reasonably high quality, but still haven't found like an epic dream site yet. I know we're up against Panther Creek to my right on the east side of the campground, but so far in the first 12 sites, not a single one of them is actually in the proximity of Panther Creek, so that's a little disappointing. I do so many campground reviews across many states, and a lot of the campground design is to try to maximize the value of the feature, in this case Panther Creek, so I kind of wish all the campsites were up against the creek, giving you an epic creek view. But this particular campground, Panther Creek, seems to be, they're all kind of just in a forest with a few trails down to Panther Creek, so it'd be better if they were on the creek. So slightly disappointing on that. Here's 13. You got your driveway, tent pad, picnic table, fire pit. Again, it's like beautiful section of forest. Like if you've never seen this kind of old growth forest, kind of a rainforest quality with the moss, then this is epic. But as far as just kind of general campgrounds in the Pacific Northwest, the PNW, these are pretty basic. So I was saying, I like it when the campground is designed in a way where all the campsites are right up against your feature, your creek, your river, your lake, whatever it is. Well, this is not that. But it's a beautiful, absolutely beautiful section of forest, so I shouldn't be too negative. Here's 14. Got your driveway, your tent pad, picnic table, fire pit. Again, gorgeous section of forest. You can hear the creek. You're not really in contact with the creek. I also don't like it when the tent pads are right next to your car. That's a little claustrophobic in my opinion. You come camping to be out in the forest at least, or wherever you're coming to, and you don't really want to be camping right next to your car. It feels a little unnecessarily obtrusive. So to me, that's a ding. Here is site 15. So you got your forest road here, your driveway. Ooh, this is gonna have some great shade. As soon as I came around the corner, I was like, ooh, this got a dark feel to it. Like not in a creepy way, but in a well-shaded way. Picnic table, fire pit, tent pad. Again, I don't like the tent pad so close to the car, but it is what it is. You can park the car back a bit to give yourself more spacing. Beautiful swath of national forest, Gifford Pinchot. Lot lines are pretty decent. You got a campsite over there, but you really can't see it. So as far as a forest play, this is actually a pretty good one. Gives you an area up there. Right now it's got leaves all over it, but you could play up there if you got kiddos. Kind of shade up there a bit, no pun intended. Hang out, and I feel like you're kind of in your own section of forest. That is the highway side, so I'm sure you will hear some cars going by, but pretty good site. I think one of the better ones so far. Here at 16, you can see there's a site over there and a site right here, 17, which we'll get to in a second. So not great lot lines. Park right here. Okay, picnic table, fire pit, tent pad behind it. Beautiful section of forest. However, here's your forest road, campground road. So you're right on the road, and you got 17 right behind you, and presumably 18 or 19's over there. So not great spacing. Here's 17. Same exact story. You got your parking, picnic table, fire pit. There's your tent pad on the right. For some reason, you see straight ahead through this section of forest, you got a straight line of sight to another campsite. So to me, that's a poor design. Why not build up this section of forest so you got a natural screen, a sense of privacy? So that one's even worse than 16. So I wouldn't do 16 or 17 personally. I know I'm being very granular and picky, but that's why you do campground reviews to begin with. If you didn't care, you wouldn't do a review. You'd just throw a dart. So whole point is to find the best sites. And this is 18D. We've learned that D means group. Big area for parking, pretty cool fire pit. And you got your 2 picnic tables and a massive tent pad. I noticed the tent pad seems bigger on the D's because they presume you're probably gonna have a bigger tent. Makes sense. So this one may have a trail down to the creek, which would be the first one out of the first 18 that actually has a little bit of a feature play. So I'm gonna go this way. Probably the first one who's walked through this in 6 months, so I will invariably walk through some spider webs. Wish me luck. Oh yeah, this is gonna come up to an overlook. So this is your side path, the dominion of campsite 18. And we're finally getting a little bit of creek action up here. The beautiful Panther Creek, look at that. So let me turn around here. Now this is the side path from campsite 18B, which is a group site, but at least you have some creek access. So imagine if you have a big group at 18D and then you're kind of on the edge of the campground, so that's good. You got forest on one side, You got some kiddos in the group that want to play. And then you can grab a couple chairs, Cabela's chairs, whatever you got, come down here and plop down and kind of enjoy the creek. Maybe read a book or have a stimulating conversation. Either way, you got a view. So this is more what I'm talking about. When I come camping in a place like Panther Creek, I want to actually have some exposure and contact with the creek. Call me crazy. So in the first 18 sites, this is really the first one that has a direct side footpath to Panther Creek, which I'm digging. It is a group one, which obviously means it's more expensive. But as I continue, I'm optimistic that this next bay of campsites might have more creek exposure, so we shall see. Let's go back to site 18D, meaning group. So this is the side trail. Get you a little contact with the namesake of this campground, Panther Creek. So that's good. That's in the plus column. You got your 2 picnic tables, got your oversized tent pad for a group. Of course, your fire pit. Fire pit's kind of strangely located. I wish it was a little closer to the picnic tables, but a little bit more in the parking lot. It's kind of odd. Maybe it's movable. It doesn't look like it's dug in. Maybe you can move that fire pit. I don't know. They probably don't want you to mess with stuff. Kind of looks like there's a tent pad right there too. So there's a tent pad right there on the other side of the fire pit, that fire pit, and then you got this big tent pad and a couple picnic tables. I do wish the fire pit was more next to the picnic tables, but can't have everything in life, I suppose. So let's continue along. Here is campsite 19. Got your driveway, picnic table, and fire pit. This is what I call an inner, which typically means it's lower quality just because it's not up on the feature side. You got the outer / feature side campsites, and you got the inners. This is a bit of an inner. So you got your tent pad right here, your parking, again, your fire pit, picnic table. So, right on the forest road here. Not the best lot lines, not horrible. This is a very serviceable campground, meaning that there really isn't a total garbage site. Like every single one of these campsites is serviceable. Here's your water pump. But I kind of break it into 3 categories. There's horrible, serviceable, and epic. I haven't seen an epic site yet, but I also really haven't seen a horrible. This is like all middle tier serviceable sites. They all work. They're not like legend, I want to drive hours to come here because it's just so awesome, but they also get the job done and are decent quality. So here's site 20, your picnic table, your fire pit, got your tent pad, pretty basic. So here is site 21, got your driveway, got your picnic table, fire pit. Got your tent pad behind the tree right there. Looks like there's an actual tent pad. Looks like it's just a flat area. The flat area, picnic table, fire pit. So you do have a straight line of sight to your neighbor 20. So I probably wouldn't do 20 or 21. It's an okay section of forest, but frankly, I thought like 15 was better if you're just looking for a section of forest with better privacy lines. So I would say after the first 21, and there's 33, or almost 2/3, one more 2/3. As far as just a forest play, I probably like 15 the best, although it is kind of on the roadside, so you'll get some road noise. 18D at least had a side path to Panther Creek, but it was also a group one, so it's more expensive. Here's 22. You got driveway, put your tent straight ahead. Tent's a little close to the car for my liking. And then you got, looks like some food here. I don't know if somebody just left that here or what's going on. Kind of almost feels like it's being used, or there's a shovel, little barbecue thing. I don't know, maybe somebody's using this. Doesn't look like it, but I want to be respectful if this is actually in rent right now. Maybe they drove away this morning. I don't know. The gate's closed, so I don't know how many could have driven. So I'm guessing that's not being used and somebody just left some stuff, but I could be wrong. Here is 23D, indicating it is a group site. Got a big parking, enough for a couple of vehicles. Fire pit straight ahead. Here's your double picnic table. And on the other side of the picnic table is a big flat area, presumably for your tents. Not a defined tent pad, but you don't really need the defined tent pad if you got a flat area that works. So I do like the log on the edge there. It gives you kind of an area to sit, an area to put gear, especially if you're drying it out. So this is 23D, decent. Maybe the D stands for decent, just kidding. So serviceable, 23D. I will say that across from 23, there is access to a trail, which presumably will take you down to Panther Creek. Let's go check it out. Here's our access from 23D. Nice little section of the creek. Look at that. Pretty gorgeous. Be beautiful. Panther Creek. Pan over here. This is a crystal clear, calm section of the creek. Perhaps a fishing section. You can walk out there with some hip waders and start fishing. I don't know what the fish situation is, but it would be hard for me to imagine there aren't fish coming through here on some level. This is probably the most still easiest section of the creek I have seen. A little path near 23D. Muy interessante. We're walking back through this side trail on the outskirts of 23D. Taking a little bit of an incline to get back up to the campground. And we made it. Again, this was right across from 23D. So if you stay at 23D, you do have a footpath right here down to Panther Creek. Kind of feels like your domain, although I'm sure 22 could take that as well. It's not campsite specific like a couple of the other ones. Coming down the road a little bit from 23D, here you've got another prime Panther Creek access point. In fact, I like this one a little bit better because it's a more beautiful section of Panther Creek. Come down here. Advise safety, it's a bit rocky. So I'll stop here and just take a look at that. And look at that. So far, this is actually my favorite access point of Panther Creek, past 23D. It gives you a beautiful little swath. Panther Creek flowing, roaring, raging on by. I think a particularly scenic section. So this is my favorite access point to Panther Creek so far. I will point out, I think so far the best access to Panther Creek is right across from 24. Down there is 23D. It's not exclusive to 24. It's not off 24 site. It's a public access anybody can do, but you have pole position as far as being the closest to it. Picnic table, of course, your parking. Looks like a little side path through the tent pad. Check it out. Yeah, there it is. So that's kind of interesting. I do like that. The tent pad's a little bit more in the forest. Be a little bit better privacy. So I really like that. This is the creek access between sites 24 and 25. Let's come down and see what's going on over here. Ooh, I'm digging this. Nice flat area. It does have some tree roots, but bring some chairs down here, pop a squat, and enjoy the creek all day. Maybe read a book or have stimulating conversation. Look at that. It's a gorgeous section of Panther Creek. So I'm digging this. You got direct shoreline access right down there below. Very accessible. You just have this one lip right here. But any able-bodied person might be able to do that. So you got that. And then coming over here, you've got, wow, a really beautiful section of Panther Creek. Look at that. And look at that. This is downstream from that area next to 24 we were looking at. And we watch Panther Creek meandering through Panther Creek Campground. This is a particularly beautiful zone. This is definitely the highlight of the campground so far. Between 24 and 25, this is like the money section of Panther Creek. There's only 33 sites here, so this very well might be the best section of the entire campground. But this is pretty high quality. And look at Panther Creek going by. And you even have a little shoreline access down there below. I gotta say, I think this might be one of the best swimming holes at a creek I've ever seen. It's a creek, and it's got a bit of a flow, as you can see over there on the right, but there's this one section between these logs. I'm sure the logs are kind of here for a reason, where a pretty heavy section of the creek on the other side of this log stops at this log. Has a pretty deep section. I don't know what that is, 3-4 feet. It looks pretty deep from here. And you got like a calming pool right here of tranquility. Bring your family out here and swim. You have the protection of this log, kind of a border of the swim zone safety marker. And you can bring the whole family right here and swim. Of course, if you got kiddos, watch them. There's always a drowning risk. Always exercise maximum situational awareness. But this is pretty awesome. I'm blown away. This right here alone would be worth camping at Panther Creek. We're kind of between sites 24 and 25, and you have like a perfectly designed calm pool, a swimming hole. It's a little section of the creek between these logs where you can come and swim, and it's even particularly deep, which is fun. It's like 3-4 feet. I can't really tell exactly, but something along those lines. It's not ankle deep. It's like actual swimming pool depth, which is great. So one of the best swimming holes I've seen in the creek, candidly, in Oregon or Washington. So pretty impressed here at Panther Creek between sites 24 and 25. A world-class swimming hole. And I can hear some water. I think we're coming up to Panther Creek. Look at that. The beautiful Panther Creek. And here is a little viewpoint area, generally accessible to all campers, of the beautiful Panther Creek. Look at that. So campsite 25 was occupied. It's the only campsite here that is occupied. 33 campsites. Today's May 17th. Campground actually opened on May 16th yesterday. So of course I don't ever do a review of a site that's occupied, but it looks pretty similar to 24. Between 24 and 25 is the Epic swimming hole, so pretty high quality area. Here's 26D. You've got two tent pads, dueling tent pads. I don't love that they're right next to the parking. You've got dueling picnic tables and a fire pit. I mean, this checks all the boxes you want from a group site. There's nothing particularly special about it. Kind of feels pretty exposed. The good news is you do have a path right there. That's the Piste de Resistance down to Panther Creek. So you take this little footpath right here and it should take you down to the shoreline of Panther Creek, presumably. It looks a little overgrown, but definitely looks like a defined path. So that's 26D. Let's continue along. And here is 27D. You've got two picnic tables, you got your fire pit, parking. Clearly you can put your tent over there, over there. It doesn't look like it has defined tent pads, but you don't need those per se. The 27 is serviceable. Beautiful section of Gifford Pinchot National Forest. Got that old growth feel, good shade. Serviceable. I wouldn't say epic, but serviceable. And I don't know if this is indicating another footpath. Yes, down to Panther Creek. So turn around here. You're camping at 27. 26 is right there, is another Groupon. So if you really want to get your Groupon, no pun intended, you get 26 and 27 and have a double group. And then you take over this section of the campground and this section of Panther Creek. This is clearly a defined path down to Panther Creek. Nobody's probably walked down this in months, so wish me luck on the spider webs. So far, so good. And here we are, coming up to a vantage point of Panther Creek. I will say you can climb down here. This is pretty steep right here. You have to be cautious. If you're not able-bodied, I don't know if I'd even try to go down there. I'm not sure if the Jeep is worth the squeeze. The same view from up here. This is pretty cool. You can bring some chairs down here if you're staying at 27D as a group and you just kind of want to bring a Cabela's chair down here and read a book or have stimulating conversation. Come down here and just kind of chill next to the creek for a bit. That could be pretty cool. So this is your view from the side trail beyond 27D here at Panther Creek Campground, Gifford Pinchot National Forest in the great state of Washington. So I have de-spiderwebbed it for you, but sadly I think more spider webs will be created between now and when you visit here. 28, see the picnic table from here. Got the tent pad on the other side, obviously your parking. And then these are pretty awesome trees. Look at this. It's pretty epic. Got your picnic table and your fire pit. Does look like you have a side path, presumably down to Panther Creek. Let's go take that. Cool part about this side path is it's directly off Site 28, meaning this is your domain. So if it's just a generic side path like most of them are here, off the road with some wooden pillars, then obviously it's communal. Anybody can do it, but see where this goes. I don't know actually if this is actually, this is as far as I'm going to go, because I'm not sensing this is even taking us to Panther Creek. Panther Creek's over there and this is taking us this way, so kind of on the edge of the campground. Maybe this is a forest trail connector to other infrastructure. No signage, so not going to claim where that goes, and I'm not going to take the whole thing to find out. You do have the connector to Panther Creek just on the other side of 27 right next to you. So if you just go down this road to the right, there's a connector to the creek. So you do have nearby creek access. So this is 28. A little exposed, right on the road. Here's a tent pad. Not epic, but not horrible. I'd say serviceable. Here's your lot lines, 27's right over there. You can see the picnic tables from here, so not perfectly private. See those wooden pillars right there on the right side of the road? That is your access to the Panther Creek. So pretty short walk to the creek. Decent site, I'd say. This is the path to sites 29 through 33. 5 sites in this loop. That sun is beautiful. Here is 29. Nice driveway. It's one of the bigger driveways. Great for an RV. Guessing maybe 29 and 33 is the RV section, but I could be wrong. Definitely the biggest driveway I've seen so far. Your picnic table, your fire pit, and tent pad. There's the fire pit on the left there. Again, I'll show you this beautiful sun. Gorgeous national forest. Like, this is Gifford Pinchot in all its splendor. Biggest driveway I've seen. Perfect for an RV. Let's continue along. Here is campsite 30. And you got your picnic table, your fire pit, your driveway. Obviously put your tent straight ahead on the other side of the parking. You can see a little bit of a built-out tent pad. Beautiful section of forest. Pretty gorgeous. Decent site. Here's the forest road. It's for lot lines. And you got your friend 29 over there. So serviceable. Not epic, but serviceable. Beautiful forest. Again, you're not next to your feature, which is Panther Creek. This is Panther Creek Campground. And they didn't just pull that name out of a hat. They're naming it after the namesake, which is Panther Creek. So you're on the opposite side of Panther Creek. Panther Creek, probably the best sites for Panther Creek are 24 and 25. So here, this is a separate loop that's away from the creek. As I get that beautiful sun, my gosh. So here is 31. You got your picnic table, fire pit. I mean, I love the way the sun hits this one in the morning. This has got an epic feel. I mean, this is ridiculous. Obviously, you got your forest road, so it doesn't have the best privacy lines, but very serviceable. I know I'm being very granular and picky. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. You got your picnic table, fire pit, tent pad, and parking. Again, this isn't on the feature side. This is an inner. This is not next to Panther Creek, the namesake of the campground. So I'd rather be near the creek, but I mean, this is freaking gorgeous. Can't complain about this. Your nearest one is over there, but you got some good spacing. So the spacing is outstanding right here. So they're pretty good one, actually. I gotta say, 31's legit. Here's 32, your parking. Of course, you've got your picnic table and your fire pit. Pretty basic site. Nothing too standoutish about it. Got your tent pad down there. You walk over and put your tent there. I like where the tent's located. Look at that sun. I mean, this national forest is awesome, Gifford Pinchot. So props to that. So here is site 33, last but not least. Got our driveway, tent pad, fire pit, picnic table, kind of a Dr. Seuss Tim Burton style tree. I think the coolest part of this site, candidly, is these flattened tree trunk kind of turned into tables. Got a live edge feel. Look at this. This is pretty awesome. Come over here and use this as essentially a station. Very cool. And you can use that one right there as a station. So it gives you kind of some tables. Notice that the same thing's been done over there to that trunk. And over there, somebody had some fun with the chainsaw in this area. All the tree trunks have been turned into quasi tables. So pretty interesting. Pretty epic. I'm digging it. Okay, so I just completed my walkthrough of the 33 campsites here at Panther Creek Campground, Gifford Pinchot National Forest here in the great state of Washington. I'll give you my thoughts. So this is a highly serviceable campground. It's like highly mediocre. And that might sound negative. I don't mean it as negative. I don't have a rating system, but I kind of categorize campsites into 3 categories, either like horrible, serviceable, mediocre, and then epic. So I wouldn't say there's a single campsite here that I'm going to say is like epic. There's no campsite here I was like, oh, I have to bring my family back here and stay here. This is like the most incredible campsite I've ever seen. So none of the 33 reached that threshold, keeping it real. However, that said, this is a highly serviceable campground. very well spaced for the most part. Most of the campsites are like solid B pluses. So, you know, you can do a lot worse. This is a high quality campground. I overall have a very positive, favorable viewpoint of Panther Creek Campground, having come here for the first time. So just, I like it when the campsites are up against the feature. You know, here it's called Panther Creek because of Panther Creek. I like it better when like all the campsites are right up against the shoreline and you can camp and basically sit in your chairs at your campsite overlooking the creek. And there's a lot of campgrounds that offer that, so that's not a big ask. And this is not one of those campgrounds, keeping it real. This is a forest campground with some side trails down to the shoreline. So yeah, you can kind of make that work, take some chairs down to the shoreline and sit next to the creek. I like it better when you're sitting in your own campsite overlooking the creek. So I don't love that for some reason they put all the sites in the forest and then they just did a few side trails down to the creek. It'd be much cooler if all the campsites were carved up against the creek. Then I think this would have epic level campsites, but that is not how they did it. So for that reason, these campsites are all essentially just classic Gifford Pinchot National Forest campsites, which is beautiful, you know, especially if you didn't grow up in the PNW, Pacific Northwest, and you're not used to this kind of old-growth forest. But I'm not going to claim that this is the most epic campground. So serviceable. I'd say I'm particularly blown away by 24 and 25, not because of the campsites, but because of their proximity to a swimming hole in Panther Creek. There's this one section between two logs that probably 3, 4, 5 foot deep, and it's perfect to go swimming in. And typically you don't get a lot of areas you can swim in a creek, so that seems special to me. So if you're looking for a swim play to cool off in the middle of a hot summer day, 24, 25 is probably your best play here. Beyond that, there was a handful of good forest ones. Top of my head, 15, 31, if you just kind of want a pretty section of forest, but they're not going to be next to your feature of Panther Creek. So decent campground, Panther Creek. Not the best, not the worst, but solidly serviceable, good base camp. Come here and explore Columbia River Gorge National Scenic Area. A lot of world-class hikes in this area, a lot of creeks and rivers. Little White Salmon River is right next to us. So beautiful area. Let's go on to the next one.